Computer. Lights.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. So, there are some times where these 2 hours are the only 2 hours I get to do the work, and that was yesterday. So, we're going to literally pick up exactly where we left off yesterday on Nancy Hansen's Silver Pentacle 2. Because whether I like it or not, that's what we did. So, first, though, I need to alert Alex. Amen. Hurry. Okay, so we we got my dad's piano. To hang on real quick. Okay. So one of the things that I did while I was on my little trip was I fetched my dad's piano, which was my grandmother's piano, because my kiddo is into pianos, or he's into music. So anyway, so I fetched the piano and brought it back in that U-Haul truck. So we we had to go ahead and bring it back here, but it needs to go up over the 3 stairs in my house, and there's no way we're going to get that piano up those 3 stairs easily. So my buddy and I are going to build a ramp. We've been meaning to do that anyway because my house is kind of difficult to get to if you have wheels and are having problems with your legs. And so I have a couple of friends that are in that stage or heading for that stage, and they're going to get that way more and more as time goes on. So building this ramp won't hurt us at all for future folks who are here visiting and stuff like that. So we're going to go do that, but that starts at 11 right after the show, and I needed to alert him that was the case, that I won't be walking with him today. So here we go. All righty. So we're back to still working on Nancy Hansen's piece here. And we're on, so we'll do that. And then we'll go to illustration 9. Okay, good morning, Donald. Right? Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I had a buddy, and she had messed up her ankle really bad, and she was on one of those scooters. And this is what made me think of it. She came over to visit, and she was totally okay with this, but she put down a little mat on the stairs and then got down on the ground in my front yard effectively, and then scooted up the stairs. And I thought, yeah, we can't do that. That can't be happening. That's not happening anymore. That's horrible. I was like that. I mean, she was very cool about it, and it was really neat, and she didn't seem I mean, it was very resourceful of her and stuff like that, but I just felt like, no. And who knows? I mean, there may be a day where I will need that ramp. I mean, it's a thing. So, watching the new Matrix. Are you watching it during the show or I mean, cuz like am I live streaming in a theater right now? Hi theater. I promise not to yell fire. But I mean, she's not the only one who is on wheels. So, and that's the thought, maybe someday you could come over and visit Donald. You're on wheels, and so you could just come on in and we'll have a ramp. It'll be cool and it'll be awesome. So, okay, we got to do illustration 9. Oh, gotcha. Maybe I'll watch it because I have HBO Max as well. Huh. Really weird world we're entering into where the newest, greatest movies might actually be here in my house. Who knows? It sounds that sounded creepier than it, the newest movies are in my house, right behind me. You know, okay, maybe not. It was funnier in my head. Anyway, yeah. Well, I hear that one as well, my friend. I hear that one as well. I only have HBO Max because it came as a deal for something else, and so I gotcha. Well, first things first, let's make sure we've cleared the screen. So here we are clearing the screen. Yep. Brent finds ways. Brent's like life in Jurassic Park. Brent will find a way. All right. Illustration 9 shows the group of 4 making final plans standing near the porch. Oh, man. Okay. Why do I not remember this scene? Okay. Huh. Okay, so I guess huh. I don't know why I don't remember this scene. And it's kind of weird. Huh. I remember this scene. And I remember this scene. And I remember this scene. This is so weird. But the next scene Says the journey ended the next morning. And I don't remember that scene. And I'm trying to figure out, this is the same document that I loaded onto my phone before I left Denver 2 weeks ago. But I don't remember the scene. So I'm trying to, I mean, I remember all the way up to this last sentence right here, and don't remember the next sequence. So I wonder if the version that I had, maybe it was a different version. That's weird. That's very strange. I know I have 9 illustrations on this. Oh, okay, well. Okay, well, that's that, I guess. Weird. Well, I don't know if I want to. Says it's page 88 of 102. So there's still 20 pages here. Well, 10 pages, give or take. I don't know if I want to read all 20 or 10 pages while waiting online. I really honestly legitimately think what happened was I had a different version of the book that was missing this last scene, because I clearly remember all the way up to this last scene, and then I don't remember any of this last scene at all. And if I were to have forgotten stuff, I probably would have forgotten the scene before it, or you know what I mean. But I mean, I remember the words right up to and the way that I read, when I read things, I see the scenes in my head. It makes it really easy to draw out these pictures because I'm just literally transcribing what I see in my head. Um, and so uh, I see the scenes and I don't see the scene that came after that. I don't see it in my head. So I'm thinking what I will do is it's 10 pages. It'll only take me about 20 minutes or so to read the whole thing at tops 20 minutes, and make notes and put, things in the margins and all those things. So, however, I don't know if I want to spend 20 minutes on air watching that with you guys. So, we're going to try to find something else to do, and then I'll just do that this afternoon. After I build a ramp. Apparently, what I'm going to do is build a ramp. So, we're going to close that. And let's see what other kind of trouble we can get into. Oh, I still have the manual up for my motherboard. Let's not do that. Brent and I were working on trying to figure out what my motherboard was like. Yeah, we'll have to see what's going on with this one. So let's see here. Let's bring up, what other tasks do we have here? Wonder if I could scan in the pages I did a couple of days ago on Tuesday. I need to get those in, but I don't think that's something we want to work on. Let's go back to Bellatrix Rising and take a look and see what kind of, because we have an insane amount of work to do in Bellatrix Rising, as always. Nothing has changed here. Still 40 quadrillion things we got to do over here in Bellatrix Rising. So let's take a look in here and see what we got. So, I was kind of bothered a little bit by our last pass with the vehicles, and I'll show you why. I'm going ahead and close stuff down. Let's open up Daz. Let's open up Blender, and I'll show you the vehicles, because we had sort of an offset that I didn't like. So I kind of want to work on that today and see if maybe we can fix that offset. And I don't know which we should do. Should we do the offset fixing in Daz Studio and just kind of guess at it and then fix the maps, or should we go back and see if we can get better resolution maps? Is really kind of what I'm thinking. Is I think I might want to go back and try to get better resolution maps out of Blender. But we risk it because I'm worried that what will happen with Blender is that we will open it up and those maps will be screwed up. Remember how that worked? Hey, drawing kitties are cool. I love drawing kitties. So I'm okay with that. Kitty drawing is the best. Okay, loading Blender. Is it type 5 MPV? Maybe. Yep. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take you and you and you and you and you. And go to edit mode and see what you look like over here. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So one of the biggest problems that I'm having with Blender, and I don't know what the story is with it or why, but when I save these files, it seems to work really hard to forget. Well, maybe it didn't. Maybe this time it didn't. Okay, good. There we go. Whew. I thought for a minute there it forgot. I've been doing this with putting this out as a I've been screen capping it. But the problem with the screen caps is new. How high can we make it? Can I make it 5,000 by 5,000? Blank's fine. Oh. Okay. Let's see if we can save that. Image save. Save as. Hey, look at that. Where are we? Does anybody even know? Yep. Okay, there we are. So actually, let's see if we can save it as a JPEG. Vehicle Blender files. Vehicles. Textures. Because this might be better. Uh-oh. Looks like somebody's having stream issues. Extreme issues. So if I vanish off of here, I'll be back. but it does look like I'm having stream issues. So we're going to go into here and open, and we'll go over to Guy the Artist. Bellatrix Rising. Vehicles, textures. And I will save it, or I saved it as Vehicle Tops 2. I am definitely having problems here, guys. I'm having connection issues. But also, I sort of remember it didn't like that. Looks like it dropped on one of my connections. Looks like it dropped all of my connections. That's nice. Well, if you guys can see me, then hope I see you. Ugh. Okay, now I know why I don't do this through Blender. There is a button you have to push to make everything visible. And I don't know what that button is. Okay. So exporting UV maps from Blender. Let's see if that worked. Bumped my router. There we go. I see. So it says export UV layout. Edges outside. The artist will transparently pre-program a guide with payment, whatever. Okay, shows Blender in the background and the GIMP working on the texture. Okay, properties. Let's try this again. Have no idea whether you guys are there anymore. Image save as. That's not what we're looking for, guys. That's why. Because you don't save the picture. That would make total sense. Why would you save the picture? Instead, you have to export the UV layout. That makes total sense. And why I can't see anything. And it only saves as PNG. Oh, well. This is one of those too many cooks in the kitchen, I think. Okay. You're working, and so am I. Look at that. So am I. And what I mean by I'm working is apparently my entire internet just jumped off a cliff. So I restored it, and by bouncing to my other, to the 2.4 instead of the 5. All right. Duplicate layers, put that layer there. And we go for a new raster layer. Ink. There we go. But at least, yay, working, I can see you now, which I, couldn't a minute ago. So that's a thing. And we'll do this. And we'll go through real quick. Do a list of things that you need to do or build that help you out going forward. It's not a bad idea. In fact, what I think we'll do is at break, that's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and make a list of things that we need to do to finish out Bellatrix Rising so that we know. Well, we'll never finish out all of Bellatrix Rising, but what we need for book 1. Part of the problem we had with book 1 was I actually I wasn't completely lying around reading books on Monday and Tuesday. I spent most of it, actually, a good portion of it, writing the script for 1. And the problem I've had with book 1 is it's the first comic. You want to do something interesting so that people will pick up the comic off the table and go, oh, I want to buy this book. But you also don't want to be, cliche, and you don't want to, all this stupid stuff. So I was kind of having some problems with just, getting to the point where I knew what I wanted to do with it. So, but I got it. I didn't write the script totally, but we got to a point where we're ready to start writing it. Somebody had broken down, and it was a very cool thing. It was a comic artist. He'd broken down some bits and pieces about writing comics. Like, how many scenes should you have in a standard issue comic? And, he was saying that and will keep me from doing the classic ADD thing of working eternally on a project and never getting done because, oh, we need to do this pretty thing and this pretty thing and this pretty thing and, sort of thing, which is very common for us ADDers and not an uncommon thing at all. You are not wrong, Brent. You are not wrong. So, like I said, we'll take a break at break and we'll do that. I think this is the roof. So what had happened here was I had done this, and we had done this map, and then I loaded it into Daz Studio, and it turned out that it was way off. The map was frustratingly way off. And so I had to figure out what to do about that. So we are right now, and maybe you can help me when we get to the listing of things. I think that we will have to do them in the way that we do assets in like movies. When you do movies and you're the producer of the movie, one of the things you will do is have to go through and, okay, this scene requires this scene requires that. So we'll take my outline, because the outline doesn't have dialogue in it, but all of the scenes are in. So we know what scenes we need to do, and that's good. So that helps a lot. I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do that part, and that should be easier. Or once we're done, we should have a good idea of what things needed to be done and stuff. So we're just going along here, and we're tracing all of this stuff. And these guys actually end up getting these. These are the containers in the back. They don't get the middle part here done, but this part gets done. And so we'll keep doing this. There we go. There, just like that. And so all I'm doing here is just doing it so that they've got lines. We'll put in what's on these in a minute or two. Once we know that this fits, and we don't need to go back and redo or, balance them again. There we go. Just put that in there and then across there. And this there. So all right. We're just lining these up real quick. And like I said, because these little containers have these corners on them, I'm going to draw a little line on that. But this side right here is flat, so I don't need to worry about that. I do need to put a top on this, otherwise it'll look weird. Looks weird. Okay, do this. bed of the truck. We got a little sloppy, it looks like, on the output of this. So they're kind of overlapping, which again, I can't tell whether that's due to that weird drift that I get with Blender or not. Because sometimes Blender, I'll load it back up again and the UV maps have moved. It's like their coordinates are slightly different. All right. So we're going to turn that off and say save as. And we'll go to JPEG and we'll call this vehicle Tops Master 1. And I'll ask if we want to replace it. We do. We'll go over here. And I'm going to have to go here. Because it is weird that it has not decided to keep that. Not sure what to think about that, but okay. Vehicles, DAS files, top 1 master def, right? And we take a look now, and they are better aligned. Okay, good. Good. That looks much more like what I was looking for. They weren't straight before. They were all offset weirdly, and I don't know what to do with that. I was like, well, it's strange. So but now that that looks like that's clear and clean, we can do something with it. Okay. So we will do the same thing we just did. We'll go over here and we'll say file. We'll open. You hear the fan going on my computer. We've now pushed it. Now we're starting to push it. Now we're starting to push it. All right. I don't know. Where's my stuff? And we're going to just do an A4 illustration real quick. All right. Now I'm computing with fire. Fire. Okay. No, I'm just noticing that now broadcasting with Restream going, we have Microsoft Word, we have DAZ Studio, Blender, Winamp, OBS, and Clip Studio Paint. Now my computer's starting to feel a little taxed. And that's what I was saying. I feel like we've got something else going on, because now that everything is up and running, it's not slowing down on this, but now it's starting to get a little, I'm a little cranky on this, Okay. Looking up episode 1, because we'll need all the things for episode 1 for us to be able to do the drawing on this, right? So, let's take a look at all of our scenes. Now, for those of you who I should have a moment here and talk to people before I do this. You may or may not want to know how this goes. I don't know who's out there, because right now I have 0 viewers, but I happen to see Brent posting. So clearly I have Brent, you don't exist again. I'm sorry. So clearly my viewer number is messed up again. So for those of you who may be Brent or other people, or maybe you're watching this at another time, before I go into this, I really like the idea of being completely transparent about how I make comics. The problem is you're going to know ahead of time what's happening in this comic, because you're going to hear all about how I make it, and you're going to hear about every scene, and you're going to hear all the details. And of course, ultimately, when I start making pages, you're going to start seeing the pages go into place. So if that's the thing that kind of bothers you, I'm giving you a little spoiler warning right now. So if you don't want to read Bellatrix Rising issue 1 when it comes out, or don't want to read it until it comes out, this is your spoiler warning. So there you go. Spoiler warning. Maybe I should make a little graphic out here. It says spoiler warning, and I can just put the little graphic on. It says spoiler warning, and that'd be kind of cute. Kind of like an overlay, because like I've got this overlay I can add, sort of thing like this. Wonder if I can add just another overlay. Ooh, look what this overlay. Oh, okay. That overlay is not a button we push. No. Oh. Okay, well, we do push it, but only because I'm a goofball. Yeah, so spoiler warning, if you don't want to know, we're about to break down the script. So, okay. Back to the monitor. And when I bring up Bellatrix Rising #1. Okay, so here we go. Now we've done the spoiler warning. Episode 1 of this is a 2-issue episode. It's going to be 64 pages total when we're done. The first episode's primary goal is to introduce us to all of our characters, and to introduce us to the overriding plot of Bellatrix Rising, which will go for 50 episodes. So it's a long plot. And that long plot is a character named Alex. We've talked about her before. The teenage girl who was from, she's been transposed and stuff like that. So we're going to deal with her. So scene 1 of this is the Kittiwake arriving at Moment, which is the name of the system. I'd show you maps, but it's, Brent doesn't want maps anymore. And that's what she said. You just had to get in there, and that's what she said. Anyway. Okay. Scene 1 then is arriving at Moment. So let's take a look at what we've got on scene 1. Scene 1. Okay, scene 1, we have the Kittiwake, so we'll need that. We know we need her. And then we have the bridge. Right? And Chang. And so we know that that's the thing going on here. And then that's pretty much it for scene 1. It's introductions. So scene 2, we have Pilot House, Mayrel. We have Kip. And some other things we need to make sure we have. Logbook. Because Chang is writing in her logbook. So we need to make sure that captain's chair is complete with the little sliding desk that comes over in front so that she can write in her logbook. Not in the first scene or the second scene. They're in space in the very beginning. They're arriving. So we only have Kip and Mayrel. Kip is a Chakrana, so he's a little 3-legged guy, and he's communications officer sitting behind, which means we need the communications room, comms room, because that's right directly behind the pilot house, up front on the ship. So that scene that you're thinking about with the AI, that is a scene that occurred before they left for a moment. It's a side story. It's only going to show up to patrons who are on the Patreon. Or as a side, whatever. It'll show up somewhere else, but it's so. Okay, scene 2, they're in, all this is just cuts to, Mayrel saying, okay, we're ready to arrive at moment. And, oh, gee, everything is wrong. So that's where that is. Scene 2. Okay, scene 3. Has a gas giant, which is important because we're going to need to make sure we write that down so that we don't get into this scene and not have a model for that gas giant, for moments gas giant. And we need maps so that Mayrel can pull the maps out and look at what's going on. We've got a big purple gas giant. No, I mean, it's going to be in black and white, so we'll see. It'd be a black and white gas giant. Anything could happen. Anyway, we need maps for scene 3, but everything is still the same: bridge, pilot house, comms room. So all these first 3 scenes all take place off of here. Okay, scene 4 is the first time we see new stuff, right? So we now need moment, which is the name of the world. And that's pretty much it. Oh, we need Bennett. So, yeah, manga no color. If you do manga color, it only is in the first 4 pages, or first 8 if you're really into it. But a 32-page issue only has color on the first 4. More importantly, because of the nature of the way that we will do these things, they have to be color and black and white. So we have to have a black and white version and a color version. So we have to complete the page totally, then color the page as a separate unit. Because when you put out a tankobon, a large volume of it, those first 4 pages will become the first 8 pages of the tankobon. And so instead of having 4 pages in the middle on issue 2, you're going to have 8 pages on issue 1 that'll be colored. So the gas giant might be in the first 8 pages. We'll have to see. But for each issue, it's only the first 4. And then it goes into black and white. So, okay. Scene 4 has Moment and Bennett. Scene 5 is landing at Moment. Okay. We've never come up with, so let's talk about this, because we have never come up with a name for the city in Moment. So, I'm going to put this over here. We're going to look up the city. Well, we're going to do our randomizers, because you know how we do this. Me and my randomizers. So, go to the randomizers. Go to my fairy name generator, because I love these things, places and locations. Let's just bring this over here. Places and locations. Space station colonies names. This could be good. Flora. No, I feel like these aren't places and locations. Let's do city names. Maybe town names. City and town names. Oh man, there's a lot of these. City names. So just call it city names. I just go there and see what happens. Unuxmore. Fearton. I like Fearton. Momentum. I mean, so the only reason I wouldn't do that is that in real life, I've noticed that people never do that. Like, it's not like the main town on Earth is called Earthton. You know what I mean? We've never really done that. So, like Hudset. Hudset is a great name. You don't even know what it means. Like, who calls their thing Hudset? I don't know. iPront. Osagate or Arcfast. Those are good. Prep Hall. Prep Hall sounds like a place where you'd have a construction site, like a building, like they're working on ships. So I'm going to go for Osagate or Arcfast to see whether things Clatsy. Blemron, Panbu. These are great names because they're not based on. You remember the ones we had before? Nope, you don't. Okay. Blaze to Blaze. Echanta. You know what? Echanta. That's a good one. I like Echanta. So we're going to call the world or the city. I'm going to call it Echanta. Primary town. One moment. Actually, I'll put an N in there because Echanta sounds like electronic chanting. Like we only go online to chant. Enchanta sounds more like a place where you wanted enchantment to occur. So maybe they thought it would be a resort at one point in time, which makes sense. Here's a story about Moment as far as a planet. in the world of Bellatrix Rising, it turns out, or the universe of Bellatrix Rising, it turns out there aren't that many worlds that are oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere. Um, there just aren't. And so when you have so Moment is one of the few planets in all of the Unity and the planets around the Pleiades and the planets in the Beehive and the planets in the Commonwealth. Of those four nations, Moment is one of like 4 or 5 planets that actually has an oxygen nitrogen atmosphere that you can walk around in, not in a bubble. So, having the main city be called Enchanta actually kind of works for me because it may have been that the original colonists trying to do something with Moment were thinking we could make a resort planet out of this. So we're going to call it Enchanta. So what we need is Enchanta, which is buildings, right? So we're going to have to be buildings and tall buildings and short buildings and vehicles and stuff, right? And we need a landing pad and all of those things because scene 5 is them landing. And then we need kind of like some of these random things to blaze. And this is a district name. So they've got a random district generator. Oh, Giraffadib. Oh man, it's gone. Where'd it go? Oh, Jiferdib district, Jiferdib town. I like East Tezon. We're just gonna call that. We're just gonna call the district East Tezon. So we're just gonna mark that. We'll need East Tezon district. So, and we need the dockmaster. Okay. So scene 5 is, and then we need rubble and destruction. Okay. And then now we need the prefect and his office. Okay. No, Enchanta wasn't destroyed or attacked. It wasn't Enchanta that was the problem. It's so part of the problem that we've got is they show up in the Moment system, and when they do show up, the beacon is off. So there's no beacon, there's no arrival beacon, there's no way to get into the city or into the system without flying blind. So Mayrell has to use her good skills to get in there. And when she does, as she does, they're hearing from a freighter inbound that they're lost. They don't even know what's going on. So the freighter is completely lost and trying to get into system as well. Another freighter is missing. They were in contact with this other freighter, but it's gone. It's not even there anymore. And so they go to red alert and they prepare to come into the system thinking the system was attacked or something. And when they enter in system, they show up right on the gas giant. And they shouldn't be showing up on the gas giant. Something's wrong. And it turns out that all of the planets in the system have moved in their orbits in a illogical way. It won't work because my computer speaks Japanese. So everything has moved in an illogical way. So they now come in and they're coming in to moment, and the systems are all screwed up. They can see that there is still power, people are there, stuff like that. But like the landing beacons are out, and the landing beacons are in orbit. So that's a problem. And they can't see the landing beacons. And then when they finally come down on moment, some of the cities on the planet have been destroyed, but it looks like by pyroclastic damage. So like volcanic damage of some sort, like rifts in the surface have opened up and spit a whole bunch of magma out. And there's damage all over the place. I don't know if that would work. Maybe. Computer. Reddo dato. It didn't understand. Wonder if I say computer. Akayarato. Nah. Computer. Chigao. Okay, never mind. No, I know, I tried. It'll figure it out someday. We'll get there. So they land there in Enchanta, and at least the city has damage, but it's a big city, so it's not totally trashed. It just has damage. So they go to the prefect. The prefect says, we don't know what happened. All of a sudden it was day, and then it was night, and then so I could just switch it back to English at any time. But I like being able to talk to it in Japanese, and it's keeping me practicing my Japanese. So I'm kind of doing I don't know which I like better. Anyway. So anyway, that's where we are is with this. We're at this point. Okay. There we go. So anyway, yeah. So they were talking about this really weird thing. The plot is the Kittiwake has to pick up this senator. The senator was on moment. So that's what the Kittiwake's for. The Kittiwake's coming in. They're going to stop at moment, pick up the senator, and move him to the next star down to take a fast transport back into the Unity for something I haven't quite figured out yet. Something that requires him to be there. Very important, So the problem is the senator is one of those Buddhists that we've talked about before, where we have kind of this neo-Buddhist, and he's an old guy, and he likes to roam around. He likes to go see different planets in his constituency and hang out there and then wander and do things. And that was where he was when this situation occurred. And it just happened to be that the Kittiwake showed up, and It's been about 3 days since this whatever happened. And so they're coming into sort of the tail end of a disaster. And since Moment is so out of the way, they've sent a distress signal, but it'll take a long time for that distress signal to get anywhere because they're out of the way. Um, so this is the first Navy ship to show up. The Navy ship has higher technology, so they'll be able to help a lot more. The Navy ship summons a hospital ship. That's what happens in scene 6. They summon a hospital ship from Junction, which is the next system out. And so they've summoned a hospital ship in and a destroyer, a cruiser, probably a cruiser, to come in and help, and they will be there in the next 4 days. So, because they can come in at a higher speed and everybody can move faster and things like that, because they're Navy ships. So the Navy ships can move in much quicker. So there's a cruiser coming in and a hospital ship coming in. So the Kittiwake only has to stay here for 4 days. We've got to come up with a reason why, once they find the senator, they have to leave. So I've got to come up with a sufficiently dramatic reason for them to leave a situation like this with the senator. And we'll come up with that. And that's part of the making sure I've tied all the ends together on the script before I set it in motion, because otherwise it seems weird that in the middle of this disaster, this Navy ship is just going to say, okay, well, we've got a vote to attend. So we're sorry we're leaving you here. It's going to be difficult, especially since clearly Moment is part of this senator's jurisdiction in some way or another. And so they are they're gonna do that. I think though, with four days, the problem is it took 13 days for the Kittiwake to get there, but of course they weren't running at high speed. They were just running at normal cruise speed. And if you put the pedal to the metal, military ships, Unity ships, can really push it. And so the Unity ships will show up with a large cruiser. So we're going to have a cruiser at the end of this, something that shows that the Kittiwake is definitely not big enough to handle this problem. Yeah, maybe. And maybe that's what we'll do is at the end, the senator kind of does well, I'm needed here. And the captain's like, no, you're really needed back in Bellatrix to get, secure aid for this, sort of thing. And that may be the way out we have. Anyway, we'll get there. Okay. And I'll actually put that in here in the script. Senator, I'm needed here. No, sir, you're needed in Bellatrix. You can only do so much from here. Yep. Right? Yeah, your voice would do better than your hands. I like that. That's good. Can I use that? Your voice is more useful than your hands. Or your nose. Your nose is not useful here, Senator. Okay. Alrighty. Good. Okay. So scene 6 says the prefect's office. And then in scene 7, I think actually this is supposed to be the prefect and the prefect's office right here. So prefect and office, because this is between This is in a waiting room. Because that's our exposition scene, right? So scene 6 is the exposition scene, you know. So that's what we do next. So the way that you break down a script, or the way I do it, each issue there's 6 to 8 scenes. So you have 2 scenes for your setup, 2 for the complication, and 2 for the resolution, give or take, right? And then you can add a scene or whatever to kind of buffer between the two. Um, and then each scene has 1 to 7 pages, depending on, or maybe 10 if you really are pushing it. But I like to make the pacing set up by how many pages are in a scene, right? So right now we're still kind of at the beginning of the story. So what I will do is have more panels and fewer pages, which indicates faster action in the front. Then it's going to stretch out in the middle so that there will be fewer panels but more pages in the center scenes. And then by the end, we're really only going to have like 1 or 2 things here for scene 7. Because the key important thing in scene 7 is your senator was in the next town over and that town is destroyed. Right? Because that's the cliffhanger to drop us on for the end of issue 1 or the midpoint. Okay? So that's we don't know. I don't know yet because there's no actual dialogue in the script yet. It's just a whole bunch of, in this scene, character A must talk to character B about this item. That's where we are, is still in the breakdown stage. It'll only take me a little bit of time to write it once I've gotten into there, but then we have to go through the editing process and stuff like that. So, but at least if we are where we are, which we are, we can still say that these scenes aren't going to change. The place and location of these scenes isn't going to change. So we're now on the next part. Part 2. Now we need the next city over, which isn't the next city over. It's called the next city over in my script because I haven't gotten a very good, clear idea of what we're doing here. So places and locations. We'll go for city names. We got a lot of things going on in here. Like, I'm kind of curious if we should pick something else out. I think I'm going to use an East Asian town, and there's a reason for it. Okudaka. Wow, this is kind of cool, actually. Pangcheng. Tenghai. This is kind of cool. Chunsong. I'm going to call it Tenghai. The city is Tenghai. So there's a connection to the Chinese subgroup. Okay. So now we have I like Tenghai. That's a cool name. Okay. So now we're going to talk about scene 1. And we need Tanghai. We don't know what scene 2 is. So this is probably bridge. We don't need anything for that. We just need to make sure we have all the characters prepped for it. And this may be the first time we see our Marines. So we need to, because the Marines will need to be prepped for searching the city or what's left of it. So Arbo. We need to have him ready for that. We need people. So the other thing is we need to make sure we're ready with our Marine uniform. But it also means we need to have the rifle ready. Because remember, we had that rifle we were working on, and the prop needs to be built. So we're going to have to build the rifle prop for that. Scene 3. Yep. My Marines are definitely multi-species. So it's all right. I followed you. But I feel like there are a handful of species that are different that cause different things. Like the Marines, I feel like would have Shakrana might have like a turret on their back because they're more like turtles, effectively, 3-legged turtles. So I think what they would really have is a computer mounted, not you, mounted turret on their back, which would be markedly more terrifying, I guess. So you'd have to be careful how you deploy that. But the Najor can carry, so that's not a problem. And the Jassine will have a mech body that they use when they are outside of their, and they effectively pilot a mech. So we should probably design the mech body someday for the Jassine, for this kind of duty. So, okay, scene 3. This is in Tanghai, and we need a sign of the Jiang G resistance. The gas giant. Yeah, putting Jassine down on the gas giant's perfect. They don't even need a suit for that. So, and Scene 4 is exposition, but it's in Tanghai. And scene 5 is now we need a senator needs a name. We don't have a name for the senator. He's let's see here. Real names, Chinese names. Zan. I like that. Chen Zan. Yeah, that's sort of the idea is you would hit neutral buoyancy. Ships don't, though. Okay. So his name is Chen Zan. Okay. Moving down here. Okay, hang on. I'm just changing some things here. So we find we need Chen Zan, Alex, burned out room. So those are the things we need there. And then scene 6 is and this is going to be on the quarterdeck. So we need the quarterdeck. We're going to need medics. And I need Dr. Lawson. So those are 2 important characters that show up here. Let's see. And then scene 7 is in medical. Okay, so and this also is where we'll need a cruiser and a hospital ship. All right. Good work. Look at that. We're done. I'm just kidding. Okay. We answered some critical questions already. One thing I think I will do, though, is close this now over here. So I had the script open on the Surface, and I wanted to make sure that all the changes I just made over here populate over there. Okay. Now that we've done this, let's start a new document. Put it next to it. Just pull this guy out. And pull this guy out. Normally, I'd do this on just normal pieces of paper. But you guys are here, and it's online, and you can see it. And so might as well write it all out. Okay, so let's talk about things that we'll need. So the first thing we'll need is characters. Right? And we know we'll need Chang and Meirel and Bennett, who are my three main characters. So they need to be complete. You see everything. We'll also need Kip, who is Shakrana. We'll need Dockmaster. We'll need to give that Dockmaster a name. We need the Prefect. We need to give them a name too. We need Arboro. We need Don, Alex, Dr. Larson, okay. And there will probably be some other incidental characters that we will need. What we'll probably want to do is make sure that we have everybody in the crew ready. Well, that's what I mean is like Kip is the only alien in this group right now. And I think that's only because I'm still thinking in my head of the characters in Tamerlane, which in Tamerlane, I intentionally made the entire crew human because there was a large subplot I was working on in Tamerlane where they intentionally made the entire crew human so that in case they ever had an issue with alien races like the Vulcans or the Tellarites, there would be one pure crew, which was supposed to be a plot that Cochrane, the captain, uncovered and was kind of disgusted by. But we never got to that point in Tamerlane. However, because of that, the entire crew of Tamerlane was intentionally human, which means that now that I have moved all the characters over to Bellatrix Rising, I'm dumping that plot, that overriding plot. It was an interesting idea to think about kind of a Section 31-esque kind of group for the Federation, but I'm not ready in this world to set up that kind of subterfuge. So this world doesn't need that yet. And it may come down to that someday in the future, but it's not going to be with this crew. It'll be with a different ship. So I just need to think about how I'm doing some of the other characters in here. Um, for example, the AI is in the scene in the pilot house. There's an AI in here. That's what's his name? Whose name I'd now forgotten because I changed his name from the character that he was in Tamerlan. But his name in Tamerlan was Sison. So I'll just call him Sison for right now. And we'll add him and make sure he's in here. And then we have the Najor First Officer, which I don't think has a name yet. So Najor F-O. Yeah, Dockmaster could be an AI. That makes sense. Because that could also help because the Dockmaster, you land and the Dockmaster's like, okay, I'm trying to get you figured out. Oh, sorry, we're still glitching. You know, you get kind of like sort of things. The hollow grid's glitching. Feel like things are a little bit scary for the Dockmaster. I like that. That's good. So make the Dockmaster an AI. And the Prefect can be Najor too, which makes them a them because Najor don't have genders. So they only do genders to be funny when it's like a thing that they can get away with. So okay, so we've done characters, and I'll leave room for more characters if we think about them. The next thing we need is ships, which really is only 3 for this one, right? We've got to make sure the Kittiwake is ready. But that makes sense. It's the title ship, so getting it ready is probably a good idea. And then we need this cruiser. We don't ever see the inbound. Well, I guess we do kind of see that freighter. So we'll put the freighter over here. Because in that end scene, we'll put that freighter. So we need a hospital ship. And a freighter. Right? Ship to ship gossip. It's kind of fun. Okay. So those are our ships. We don't have a lot of ships that we need to worry about. Now, sets. This is where things get more complicated. We need to make sure we have the bridge. We need the pilot house. And we need the comm room or radio room. The East Tizon or Tazon district is going to be a set. So and the waiting room. And prefect's office. We need a Tenghai Street. And we need a burned out room. Then we need medical, and the quarterdeck. We knew a lot of this would be set up on the Kittiwake, so it's not going to hurt us to have those. We've got a lot of different sets that need to be done here. The bridge is already complete. I was working on the pilot house, stuff like that. But this is good because it also gives us a little bit of a sort of a concept of what we need to do here. The other thing we're going to need is, and these are interiors, is exteriors. Because we're going to need Enchanta, we're going to need East Tizon District. We're going to need Tanghai. And then we need the gas giant. And we're going to need moment. And those will be things we'll need. I'm glad you thought of this, actually. Thank you very much there, Brent, because this is actually very important, breaking down the script, because we can get to work on all of this stuff right away. We can get cracking on it. Cracking. And we can get cracking on it right away. So what else do we have here? So other things of note will be props. We need the GU-10C rifle. We need maps. You can skip that day. Funny. Okay. We'll need the logbook. And I think that's pretty much it. Looking through everything here on this. Now, I don't have any delusions here, though. This is comprehensive. I figure what will occur is we'll get started on all of this right away. And when we do, it will be we'll find out as soon as the series starts that we're gonna add a scene where they're talking in Chang's quarters or something, and then crap, now we got to do Chang's quarters. The good news is the quarters already have most of the pieces parts done, because we've got a bed and we've got, the ultimate goal here is to only build the outside of the room and then fill it with things that are already built, props and things that are already existing in our lexicon, so that it still has the feel, but it's a different room. It looks like a different room. It'll act like a different room, and all you have to do is put in the walls, and everybody feels it. Oh, okay, this feels like a different place, So that's going to be the ongoing battle plan. We'll have to see how that works. So, okay. I think we'll need a pack of some sort, like a backpack, spacesuit pack. So the The other thing is the military uniforms that we wear now are lightly armored. So our uniforms are lightly armored, not, serious, but lightly so. The Marine uniforms are going to be heavily armored or more heavily armored. So we're going to have to figure that out. But also, I need to put the little thruster packs that are going to sit on our uniforms. So that it's going to be this piece that sits about like this on the top of the arms, and we'll just model it in Blender and export it and then import it and add it to our maquettes. And those will be the standard uniforms. They'll always have these little pieces here. Those are your thruster jets for controlling you when you're in space and stuff like that. But there will also be a backpack which they will wear, which has the different kinds of, yeah, like greaves, and I guess you could call them spats to some degree, but they're not really. It's going to be on the legs will be the same kind of things, um, and those will be for thruster control and stuff like that. So that when you're, the idea is your spacesuit gives you, or your uniform offers you about an hour to 2 hours worth of life support in hard vacuum. So you've got long enough time to grab uh, a supplemental backpack, which you can snap on, and that gives you 6 days worth of water, air, yada, yada, yada. And so you can find it somewhere in the ship. They're all over the place, these emergency packs, and you just pull them out and snap them onto your back like a backpack, and it gives you an extra 6 days to live. And you can just keep pulling new ones and swapping them out as long as you need to, and hope to goodness. I mean, if you're like, because and there's a loss rate. I mean, we expect a loss rate, right? A ship gets critically wounded in battle. You're not going to have all of the ship's complement still alive. So the concept here is it gives you if there's 100 packs on board the ship, you should be able to, if only 20 people survived, that gives you many weeks of swapping out these packs before before you have to start facing death. um Kind of a grim discussion topic, but you get the idea. Okay, so we have now come up with quite a few different things here. um Oh, and we're going to have to do others. Other things here. Other. Because we need the symbol of the Jiangxi resistance. So we'll need to come up with that as well. And I think that's it. I think we've broken the sets down quite a bit. It's going to be a lot of upfront work here because we're going to have to build buildings and stuff like that so we can make the streets of Tanghai and make the streets of East Tezon and East Tezon, and we'll have to come up with what an Enchanta. These things are going to need to be built. We have some buildings already kind of set up, and we're kind of working on those before, so we can just keep working on that and moving from there. So it'll be fine. So okay, that's a nice breakout. We broke out this pretty well. I mean, this turned out pretty decent. What we did here was we took the first script and we broke it down into what we needed for each scene. If I were doing this in a traditional way, the way a traditional comic artist would do it, we do roughly the same thing as what we just did, because you'd still have to come up with what does each character look like. You'd have to come up with, right, minutes to spare. You'd have to come up with what does each room look like. Um, And a lot of comic artists, I'm sure that there are comic artists that totally draw by the seat of their pants. They just, we need room. But a lot of comic artists will do concept sketches of these things. Um, Especially if you have recurring things, like let's say we're talking about Batman, the Batcave. Everything in the Batcave has concept sketches. There are complete and total elaborate, very detailed concept sketches of what the Batcave looks like. And it's because people get to the point where they, oh, we're expecting to see this thing or that thing in the background, and they do, and um, they will see in the background various bat suits live there and stuff like that. And I think somewhere along the line, I even think that they had Robin suits or something. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because I'm not that deep into the lore of that yet. I'm still working on it. But even in manga, we want to kind of show a consistency to things. I know that I think about some of my favorite manga, like Meizan Ikoku, where uh, they have all of the characters have their rooms, and the entire story takes place inside this one five apartment apartment building. I guess it's got 10 apartments, but not all of them are occupied. And so you constantly have going back to each one of these sets, each one of these rooms. You want to show the same thing so you know you're in Godai's room, or you're in Ichinose's room, or or whatever. Um, Yotsuya's room. There's all of these characters. So there's a certain consistency to it. Now, in manga, usually it's a little easier because all you do is just draw cars out front or whatever. So none of this is exceptionally more complex than it was before. But there is one very interesting thing that I can do, which is once Enchanta is built, we can use the same elements to build the next file. And once we save the file, we can come back to Enchanta anytime we want. And Enchanta will be exactly the same. East Tezone will be exactly the same. Tenghai will be the same. Everything will be the same because we can keep using it. I see we're dropping off again over here. One of our streams is having issues again. So there we go. So anyway, that's world building in a nutshell, or a world shell. Anyway, I don't know. I just work here. Uh, yeah, I figured. Whoa, I flickered. And I'm starting to get really choppy. So now is probably a good time to bomb out and head on. I will be broadcasting tomorrow. I thought about it. I was like, should I broadcast on Christmas Eve? And I'm like, really? I'm not going anywhere. And it's Christmas Eve. So, meh. So, anyway, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. And until then, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye.